Alright guys, as I try to do more gun content, I thought it'd be fun to talk about my top 5 coolest firearms, at least according to me. Now, this is a trend that some gun tubers love to do, and hopefully I have some pretty cool ones on the list. Now I'm going to go from probably, in my opinion, the least to most cool. So I'm not actually holding number 5 because I do actually think that that one is a little bit cooler. But first off, with number 5 and the smallest one on the list and the newest acquisition, it is the Beretta Bobcat, or 21 Alpha or 21A, and this little guy is chambered in 22. Now this is a pretty neat gun because it has some cool features, as I mentioned in other videos, with the pop-up barrel and a just overall very unique design. It's a double action, single action, so has restrike capabilities. I actually did a whole kind of breakdown of the philosophy of use and why one of these could actually be useful for self-defense and such, but it's a pretty small gun, and I think that these just have a really cool history. Towards the end, these are now discontinued, unfortunately, by Beretta, but they actually made some FDE, some threaded barrel options of these, some ones with really nice wood handles and such. But if you're looking for a down and dirty kind of just true pocket pistol, I think that this is one of the better options. Maybe not quite the 22, the Bobcat, the one in 32 ACP would be my personal choice, but the Tomcat in 32. This is the Bobcat, but this is a pretty cool option, and yeah, they're usually pretty cheap. So these things are pretty neat. Definitely a really cool gun to check out. So that is number 5. Now, in my opinion, let me think here. I think for number 4, we're gonna go with what I call my race Glock. Now, this is a Glock 19X at the core. This is physically a 19X, and I've done some modifications primarily above the frame. And so I have, of course, an extended slide release on this. I have a Trijicon RMR Type 2 on here. I have a ported barrel with an aftermarket slide, of course. These actually now come in an MOS model, but the one I got was a non-MOS model, so I did an aftermarket slide to have the RMR cut on there. But overall, a pretty cool gun, and I feel something like this is one of my cooler guns because for a few reasons. One, it is pretty Guccified as far as it goes, but also too, what I love about this build is it shows that for just over $1,000, you can make a really cool race type gun, or a very competitive, very user-friendly firearm. And a lot of these features, things like barrel porting, things like RMR cuts and stuff, tend to be very expensive, except on Glock platforms. So this is a very cool gun, and like I said, it's one of my favorites to shoot, especially because the porting just makes this thing an absolute dream to shoot. Forgot to mention, it does have suppressor height sights on there, but yeah, just an overall a really cool setup and a really fun gun and kind of a cool little build. So that is number 4. Now, as far as number 3 goes, so number 3, I think, has to be this guy right here. Now, I kind of wanted to place this a little bit higher on the list, but I feel like number 3 is a decent spot for it, middle of the road. But this is, of course, a DS Arms SA58, and this one, of course, is an OSW, or an Operations Specialist weapon. So essentially what that means is it has a shorter barrel, it has the quad rail on here, as you guys can see, and it has the pick rail on the top of the receiver, so you can see that you can mount it, and of course you can throw an AR style stock on it. And overall, I think this is a pretty cool gun because for me personally, I've wanted an FNFAL for a very long time. Growing up, I saw them and I thought that they were really cool, and albeit in my opinion and in my experience, it's probably not the best 308 platformed rifle out there, especially in this day and age. Probably something like an AR-10 would be better, but this is one that I spent a lot of time building out and making kind of how I wanted it to be. And so this one is set up essentially, like I said, like I picked out a gun, or was able to find an OSW because I wanted an OSW to make it a little bit more modernized, and then after that put everything on it. So change the stock to a Magpul STR stock, and that's especially useful because with a lot of FALs and firearms such as FALs, AKs and stuff, in order to really get a good clear line of sight through your optic, you kind of have to do a chin weld. So with an STR stock, it gives you the ability to really get your chin pretty well on the actual stock. And yeah, so that's what I did with that. Of course, threw a SIG MSR on here. And before people ask, because I get questions in almost every video that features the FAL about these bolts, a lot of people ask me, why is the mount backwards? Why are the bolts over on this side? It's because if you have these bolts facing towards you, if you have this gun slung up against your body, those bolts dig into your sternum or your chest really badly and they hurt. So in case anyone's wondering, these bolts are snagging points, and also they dig into your body. So when you're wearing like a plate carrier, they'll snag on your webbing and cause issues. So I moved these big bolts to the other side of the receiver so that it is not in my way as much. Anyways, threw a VFG on here, vertical grip, and a light on here as well. So pretty cool setup. It's overall pretty cool gun. And I think, wow, in my opinion, like, the FAL was really cool to get. I think, in my opinion, I might end up getting another 308 to run more seriously. But I will say that this is a cool gun because I set it up the way that I really wanted to set this thing up. And I think from a standpoint of capability, this thing can realistically do anything that I want it to do. So pretty cool. Obviously it does have limitations because it does have a shorter barrel, but at the same time too, the FAL is not inherently known for being the most accurate rifle. I know some of my FAL fanboys in the comments love to come in and say, oh, like their FAL is super accurate. And don't be wrong, I love my FAL, but tilt lock breeches are just not the most accurate way to build a semi-auto platform, and the FAL was never really built to be a like sniper role or designated marksman role. So the 308 round is capable, but the rifle is definitely a little bit more questionable. But cool gun nonetheless. So anyways, now that brings us to our top two. And for my top two, I definitely these are some really cool guns. So first off is, or number two, in the number two spot, is going to be the SIG Emperor Scorpion. And for me, this one is really cool because I was definitely not anticipating getting this gun, but I actually love this gun. I love the way it shoots. And for me, the reason why this places so highly, because some people are going to look at this and be like, it's kind of a stock 1911, why did you place it so highly in top cool guns when, you have stuff like this that definitely is cooler. And for me, it's more kind of sentimental. I actually had a friend that passed away very young in life, and he actually had one of these in 10 mil, and I really enjoyed shooting his. It's really cool, and it's actually time, like we both bought 1911s. He bought one of these in 10 mil, and I bought a Springfield in 9 mil, and so we both enjoyed shooting our 1911s, and I wanted to get one that was essentially like his, but unfortunately I couldn't find one because these are discontinued, and so I couldn't find one in 10 mil, but I did find one in 45 ACP, and so this was the next best thing for me. But like I said, aside from the chambering differences of this being 45 instead of 10 mil, it's the same exact gun, and so yeah, pretty cool. I do like to carry this thing because it is a really nice shooting platform, and 1911s are awesome, and I think SIG makes really good 1911s, especially for the money. So it's one of those cool pickups. Didn't think I'd find one for a decent price, but I did find this one, and it's also a gun that I had wanted for sentimental reasons. So that is the SIG Emperor Scorpion 1911. Once again, they don't make these, I don't think SIG makes many or any 1911s anymore. Unfortunately, it's a real shame in my opinion, but it's a cool gun, and very cool gun. So yeah, anyways, then that finally turns us to the number one coolest gun, and I feel like this gun gets talked about a lot, but it is a really cool gun, and that is the Lee Enfield. Yeah, number 5 Mark 1, and this guy is pretty cool. It's a jungle carbine for those who don't know, and of course this one's chambered still originally in 303 British, and overall this gun's just really cool. I think it is not only a really cool piece of history, it's one of I think the oldest gun that I own, and it's a really cool gun, and I feel like I found it for an excellent price, especially because Milsurp Firearms right now, if you guys know, they are going for insane prices. Even these, like I got this one for under $600, and jungle carbines that look pretty much exactly like this go for $1,200. So I got a screaming deal on this one, and yeah, I couldn't pass it up. It was too cool, and it's just really cool. I really think this is a neat piece of history, and it's a lot of fun to shoot. Definitely kicks pretty hard. It is 303 British, and you have this very old, very hard rubber butt pad on it, but it's very cool, very portable, very handy. This is a gun that, like I said, I like to run as a truck gun, but it is just super useful. It's a very usable rifle for its age, and it's just a cool piece of history as well. So very neat gun. Like I said, it is a jungle carbine, so pretty compact, pretty cool, and also featured in some of my favorite video games. Even though this is a little bit of an obscure rifle, it is pretty cool in that regard as well. So overall, it just checks all the cool boxes on the list. You know, featured in video games. It's a gun that I've personally wanted for a long time. Ever since I first found out these things existed, I was like, that's a cool World War II gun. And while I certainly would like to get my hands on something like some M1 Garands or M1 carbines, unfortunately, M1 carbines and M1 Garands are going upwards of $1,600, $1,800, and it's just tough to justify that. So yeah, unfortunately I don't see any M1 carbines or M1 Garands in my near future, but it's a pretty cool World War II milsurp gun to have in the collection. Definitely grateful that I do. So anyways, that is the final gun wrapping up this video. So hopefully you enjoyed looking at some pretty cool guns, some of the cooler guns in my collection. And of course, this is me bias. I do have some other cool guns. I think my 590 Mossberg is also pretty cool. But this is like, for sentimental and for personal reasons, I think that these are the guns that place pretty high in the list. So anyways, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. As always, God bless, and I'm out.